What's happening, testifiers all over the world? This is your boy Testify-Music, or Testify to the Music, bringing you another segment of Testify Talks, the segment where I talk about my music, my life, and my upcoming projects. Today's topic is going to focus on what is prayer and fasting and why people do it. And at the very end, we're going to be answering some questions that I have received on my Ask FM. So without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into the topic. And make sure you stick around after the video to get a bit of a sneak preview of what we're going to be talking about on Thursday. Alright guys, so as I said, we're going to talk about what is prayer and fasting. We're going to go through and we're going to see exactly what is prayer and fasting is. Essentially, I've been doing prayer and fasting for, I want to say, about 2 weeks now. I've been been fasting and praying from all sorts of things. One of the biggest things being dating websites and certain foods, and as well as from music and performing in general. I have not did any press releases. I have not shot any music videos. I have not recorded any new songs or written anything. Pretty much I'm taking this fast as serious can get. Because ultimately what I want to do behind this is I want to strengthen my relationship with Christ. And so today I'm just going to give you pretty much a textbook definition of what prayer and fasting is. And then I'm going to kind of break it down and show you what it really is. Pretty much, according to the dictionary, it's fasting from food. And it can be done for a variety of purposes, either physical or spiritual. So abstaining from food alone, it doesn't constitute as a Christian fast. Instead, a Christian fast is accompanied by a special focus on prayer during the fast, often substituting the time you spend eating with prayer instead. And essentially just going back in depth and then furthering that definition of what it's talking about. Essentially, prayer and fasting is where you simply give up something for however many set days you want to do the fast, or however much the Lord has told you to do. You give that up for that certain amount of time, and the time that you would be, whether it be eating or on a website or social media or whatever you would be doing at that time, you would instead be praying at that time instead. And so essentially what I've done for myself, because God revealed some former addictions that were coming up back in my life, some of the things he told me that I need to get rid of or put to the side for for a good number, I want to say a good number of weeks. Essentially what he wants me to do is he wanted me to step away from the microphone. Essentially I wasn't living out what I was saying behind the microphone. I wasn't living out my faith properly like I should be. And we already have a bunch of fakers and we already have a bunch of posers as it is. So God was like, well, son, right now I don't need a faker or a poser. I need somebody who's going to be real when they get up there. So I put the microphone down. I stepped away from writing music and doing all forms of songwriting, essentially, because I wanted to get back on track and I wanted to get my heart right with Christ, because I don't want to be labeled as one of those guys who's a faker or a poser. I want to be a realist, somebody who's real and actually lives out what they say in their faith. So pretty much for the next 22 days, and I've been doing this for about 2 weeks now, I haven't done any form of songwriting. I haven't done any shooting for music videos or any music planning. I have nothing scheduled at this point. And believe me, that's very hard, because it pretty much got to the point where I was writing and recording a song every single day. Another thing he brought to me that I needed to give up, of course, was dating websites. I was becoming too active and dependent on dating websites, trying to find my joy and my happiness in life through a woman, when essentially that is not what he has called for me. I should be trying to find my joy and my purpose through him and through him alone, not through a special relationship with somebody. And pretty much other than that, one of the other key things that I usually fast from is like certain foods that I'm trying to get myself back off of, or certain drinks. Like I'm fasting from sodas. So I substitute sodas with water and natural fruit drinks and other things, trying to wean myself essentially off of sodas once again. And my dad, like he always says, my kidneys will thank me for it later on in life. But again, going into prayer and fasting, simply what that is where you give up something for a specified amount of time, and what you would be doing during that period is you would be praying instead. So again, if you were to give up dating websites, so the amount of time you would spend on dating websites, that's the amount of time you would spend praying. And I know I would spend hours and hours on dating websites just looking through different singles, trying to find my joy and find my happiness, when ultimately my joy and my happiness comes from the Lord and not from anybody else. And a lot of people ask, why prayer and fasting? Why do it? I mean, what's the purpose behind it? Again, ultimately, it's to draw you closer to Christ, and ultimately, it's to help get your faith back where it needs to be. You often hear people talk about they need a reboot or a recharge with their faith. This is essentially what they're talking about. A lot of times we get into this rut, or we get into a period of where we think we can do everything on our own, and we just kind of start going through the motions. Instead of drawing our strength from Christ, we start drawing our faith and start drawing our strength from other things. So then you often hear people say, had to enter into a time of prayer and fasting. And again, that's where the whole giving up something and the amount of time you would be doing, looking or watching or doing whatever on that something, you would spend that amount of time praying and trying to get your relationship right with Christ. And essentially, that's what I'm doing. I've set up boundaries for myself. I set up limitations. There are certain things that I can't do and can do. And ultimately, what I'm trying to do behind this is I'm trying to get my faith right, and I'm trying to get my strength right with Christ. But essentially, guys, that's just a general brief overview of what prayer and fasting is. I definitely recommend you sound off in the comment section below if you have more thoughts, you have something else that you want to share. If you have any other things that you might want to add to the table about what praying and fasting is, or what are some different types of fast. Getting into that, different types of fast, you have something what is called a sundown fast, which I believe that is called a Jewish fast, where you don't eat anything from sun up, and when the sun goes down, you can eat again. So essentially, the Jewish fast, if I remember correctly, that's where when the sun comes up, you don't eat anything except for a certain amount of things, different types of foods like whole grains, maybe oats and stuff like that. Nothing non-fatty or anything, of course, no fast food or anything. And then when the sun goes down, depending on when you try to do this, I know now the sun usually goes down around between 5:30 and 6. So for myself, I don't eat anything until 6 o'clock p.m. And for me, that's definitely a challenge, because your boy loves to eat, if you can't tell through the video or through the podcast. Your boy loves to eat. But oh well, ultimately, again, this is trying to help me strengthen my relationship with Christ. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Another type of fast that they have is the total fast, which is where you drink nothing but water and I believe certain fruit juices, but it's mainly nothing but water, and you do it for, again, a specified amount of time, however much the Lord reveals to you that you want to do it for, depending on the length. For me, it's 22 days. Getting myself off of certain things. That's the total fast. I don't recommend, if you're just starting out praying and fasting, I don't recommend you going into the total fast. You might want to try to train yourself up for that. I tried to do the total fast last year, and I ended up making myself very sick. So I ended up having to go to another fast. I ended up going to the Jewish fast, the one that I'm currently doing now. And pretty much that's just a general overview of the different types of fasts that you have. There are multiple types of fasts that you can have. Definitely recommend you go check out some websites about prayer and fasting, specific things. But with that being said, guys, we're going to transition into the next part of the video, where I'm going to be doing a Q&A, and I'm going to be answering some of your guys' questions here live on the air via Ask FM. I'll make sure I have a... Make sure I have a screenshot up for you guys so you can see the questions as they come up and everything. All right, guys, getting right into it. Our first question that we have, which is a question of the day, and it was asked by @ShaneDude, and it asks, "What's your favorite animal and why?" Well, I would have to say my favorite animal would have to be a snake. I don't know. I've always been fascinated by snakes. And yes, I know in the Bible snakes are represented as evil beings. I'm very well aware of that. But I don't know. I've always been a fan of snakes. I have absolutely no clue why I'm a fan of snakes. Do not specifically ask me why. I just know I like snakes. I think they're cool. I like the whole process of shedding of skin and everything. Let me think. Another animal that I would have to say would be my favorite. Let's see. Well, I like dogs. I could definitely say I'm a big fan of dogs, and I love cats too. But I wouldn't necessarily call those my favorites. I can't recall of any other animals right now. If I think of any more, I'll definitely post them in the comment section below. But yeah, definitely, I love snakes. I'm a huge fan of snakes. I'm all about snakes, as they say. All right, so guys, moving right into question number 2, we have, how important is money to you? Um, Pretty much when it comes to money, I could care less. Cause I always look at it as like, yeah, money is very important and we need it to survive here on the earth. But I've always viewed, money as, well, why exactly, do I need to spend my whole entire life worrying about how much money I'm going to get and how I'm going to get focused? Yes, I know one day I'm hopefully going to be blessed enough to have a family of my own, and I'm going to be blessed to have children of my own as well. You need to have a good job, and you need to have money to provide for them. But in this case, I'm going to take the question as how important it is to me. It is important to me, but not to the sense where it's going to control my life or it's going to be the head of my household. Money will never be the head of my household and will never be the head of my relationship. Christ will always be at the forefront. Because like I tell people all the time, you can be as rich as you want to and have all the money in the world, but when you die, you can't take that with you. Whether you end up going to heaven or you go to hell, you can't take your money with you. So that's pretty much how important money is to me. It's very important as in terms of providing for my possible family one day and moving out and everything. But other than that, it's not going to be the forefront of my relationship. Christ is always going to be at head. So moving right on along into the next question, we have, what's your favorite thing to eat for lunch? Okay. Now, I have some very weird habits when it comes to eating lunch. Sometimes I'll eat my dinner type foods as lunch. But just for the sake of this video, I'll just name a couple of few. I love cheeseburgers, especially Royale type burgers that have eggs on them. I love those. I love hot dogs. I prefer them plain, but if I have to have something on them, I like mustard, chili, and cheese on them. No onions or coleslaw and stuff like that. I love tacos, love quesadillas. Let me see what else. I like baked potatoes. French fries, of course. Who cannot forget French fries? And going along with that question, what are some of my favorite places to eat for lunch? Well, of course, naming just off a couple of few. I love Taco Bell. I love Wendy's. I like McDonald's. Let me see. I love Dairy Queen. I love Dairy Queen's hot dogs. I love Sonic. Crystal, I definitely like the $5 lunch that they have going on right now, the 5 for $5 deal. And those are just a few of my places that I love to eat at for lunch. So, guys, if you're ever in town and you see me in one of those places, I'm definitely enjoying myself. Alrighty, so moving right along into the next question, we have, if only one book existed, which book would you like it to be? Now, of course, I could say the stereotypical answer, which is going to be my main answer, of course, would be the Bible. It's the greatest book and the greatest story ever told within the pages of a book. So I definitely recommend you checking out reading the Bible. But in terms of what book, if only one book existed, I'm a little tired because one of my favorite childhood books growing up was Holes. I absolutely loved Holes. But I also liked Harry Potter as well. I loved Harry Potter. I liked the Twilight series as well. I definitely enjoyed those. Let me see. If I had to pick one book, I would probably say Holes, because I absolutely just love the story of Holes. I love the story of Stanley Yelnats and how Yelnats was just Stanley spelled backwards. I absolutely love that book. Louis Satcher, you're a genius. Thank you so much for writing that book. And Disney, thank you so much for adapting that book into a movie with Shia LaBeouf and Keelan Thomas and some of those other guys. I absolutely enjoyed the movie, and I definitely enjoyed the book. So I probably would have to go with Holes. All right, and getting to the last question that we have posted here for today. What do people think of you? Oh boy, I could spend about a couple of hours talking about this. Well, if going back to high school, if you had to ask any of my former high school associates, they would probably say I was a jerk, maybe a bit of a douchebag at times. They would probably say not so nice things. But if you ask the people that I work with, ask some of the students that I serve on a daily basis, that I get to serve with, and that I am able to serve, and you ask some of my family members, and again some of my friends, they would probably tell you that I love Christ, I love God, I love music, that I'm very extremely nice to people to the point where I let people end up taking advantage of me, and I end up letting people walk all over me, which tends to be a problem that I have a lot. But I'm just generally a nice person. I'm not vindictive. I have been angry in the past, and did used to have an addiction when it came to anger. But I'll get more into that on Thursday's video. But I would generally say, what people think of me, they would probably say that I'm a genuinely nice guy, that I'm genuinely friendly, that I'm very sincere with all of my things that I try to do. I try to be very genuine in my answers and my responses, and I'm just an overall caring person. But again, if you were to go back into my old days and go back to when I was in my early teens and when I was going from junior high school to high school, the girls would probably call me a womanizer, because I was a bit of a womanizer. As people say, I racked up a few girlfriends here and there. And then the dudes would probably say that I was pretty chillaxed, and that I was pretty cool about everything, that certain things didn't bother me. Now, what would I want people to remember me for in high school? If I could go back in time, I would definitely make my life more about Christ. I would definitely make him the center focus of everything. I think that would have helped me a lot better when it came to schoolwork, when it came to grades and making friends and making smart decisions. If I would have had Christ in it, it would have been definitely a lot better. But of course, I can't necessarily change the past, and I wouldn't want to change the past because it made me the man of God, who made me the man I am today. A true man of God, who struggles here and there, but is trying to keep his faith and trying to constantly draw closer to him. But with that said, guys, that is the end of the Q&A. Again, keep asking your questions on ask.fm. You can ask them to me on ask.fm /IamTestify. Of course, I'll have a link in the description posted as well, so you can follow it there, and so you can follow me and like and ask me as many questions as you want to. And guys, if you want, feel free to ask me some questions in the comment section as well below. Again, I love to answer you guys' questions. If you have any questions or concerns or something you want to add to the topic of prayer and fasting and what exactly it is and the different types of fast, and what are some your past experiences that you have had with prayer and fasting, if you want to post some of those in the comment section below, please post those. I would definitely love to get those posted. But again, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Make sure you guys stay tuned for Thursday. Thursday, we're going to be talking about some hard-hitting subjects. We're going to be talking about forms of addiction. If you lasted this long in the video, because I know this is about to reach 20 minutes long, use the hashtag prayer, hashtag fasting, or simply use the hashtag Testify Talks. We'll see who lasts this long. We might have a little treat or something for you guys if you were able to last this long. But again, guys, over everything else, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again so much for all that you do. Thank you so much for the support. Have a great day and have a blessed week, guys. Peace out.